I started with my business with house flipping. Be a person of value. And if people feel your energy and they want to collaborate with you, they will reciprocate.
I think that's super valuable, being authentic.
I know so many brokers, and they've been brokers for 20, 30 years, and they've never turned on this investment mindset. They've always chased fees, and they've done really well. But the minute they stop working, money stops coming.
I think it's important to show like the humbleness and show that anybody can do it. If we can do it, that you can do it too.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Commercial Real Estate Blueprint Podcast. Today, I'm super excited for our guests. We have Rafik Moore. We've had multiple guests in the past talk about Rafik on the podcast, attributing a lot of their success to his mentorship and help. And he's kind of like a commercial real estate legend. So I'm super excited to talk to him today and learn from him. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, guys. I'm glad to be here. And I'm still alive, living this life. I mean, when you die, you become a legend, hopefully. That's what we joke about with my mentors.
No, that's right. That's right. So I think I first met Rafik. I had heard tons and tons of things about Rafik from good friend, obviously Taj, and then all the guys at City Plat, Nikita, and Vincenzo. Everybody was always talking about Rafik. So I first met Rafik when I was in Orlando. You treated us all to dinner, which was super, super kind, but kind of got to see how you operate and stuff. And it was really cool. But for the people who don't know, you give us a little bit of background, how you got started into commercial real estate.
Yeah. So first of all, my company is called Braid Capital. We have over 4.6 million square feet of real estate in 8 states. I started with my business with house flipping, just like everybody else, just like you guys probably. And then we got into multifamily, we did housing, we did apartments. In 2013, I got lucky to have met my mentor who opened my eyes to the possibility of investing in industrial real estate. And since then, I've been prolifically pursuing investing in light industrial flex. We've done some office, we've done some retail, but by and large, our largest asset class in our portfolio is industrial. Yeah, I've been pretty grateful to having had mentors who helped me, who elevated me to this status of, a real estate investor. And because I'm so grateful for that, I sort of paid forward by mentoring many, many guys. And speaking of Taj, you wouldn't believe this, but he moved to Minneapolis and we have a property that we're chasing together, 88,000 square foot deal he found in Cleveland, Ohio for 1.1 million. And I think stabilized value of that property will be close to 3 million. So he's excited. I'm excited. I think it's going to be awesome partnership. He's a great guy.
No, that's awesome. Taj is the man. I enjoyed getting to know him when he was at City Plat for a year. And he mentioned that he was thinking about moving up there and then did it. So that's really cool. He'll get to learn a lot.
This is his second building with us too. We got a 70,000 square foot in Atlanta. That's how we met. He called me off the YouTube video I made.
Oh.
That's awesome. That's why this stuff works, right? That's one thing we can, I would go ahead and, since it just kind of segued into it, that's one thing I was going to talk to you about a little bit. I've seen you recently. I followed you back when I went to Commercial Academy in Orlando. I started following you on Instagram, but recently I've seen you've really been ramping up your content. What made you decide to go after that?
I have kids. I have a 19-year-old daughter and I have a 6-year-old and 9-year-old the girls and a 14-year-old son, and they're glued to YouTube and they're obsessed with, Mr. Beast. And I was like, dude, there's a phenomenon going on. In parallel, somebody said, Rafik, with everything you got going on, you have such a dramatic deals. You have these large deals. You buy mills, you buy huge malls you redevelop into e-commerce centers. You got to do something. You should have a TV show or something. I was like, it's just a lot of work, a lot of time spent on something that's not my core competence. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just give it a try. And we started a YouTube channel now. And this YouTube channel has multiple of these videos. And the idea is very simple. I want to communicate to the world how we add value to communities, how we add value to our tenants, and how we add value to our investors. And as a result, I'm hoping to stir up a lot of awareness around value-add investing. I want to help people understand it better through my experiences and my mistakes and my aha moments and stuff like that. So as a result, we've done it for a month now. We have 4 videos and almost 27 shorts, and the response has been pretty exciting. I had a lot of people call me and text me and like, hey, I want to learn more about it. I'd like to invest in your deals. So I realized, all right, I guess this thing works. And all we need to do is just stay consistent, keep delivering value, right? My biggest problem was, like, I don't want to be braggadocious talking about what we do. So there's a fine balance between communicating what you do and not looking like you're somebody who's bragging about stuff. So I always have a problem with it. I have quite a very humble demeanor to myself, but I also realize that I open eyes to the possibility for many and hopefully inspire them to do similar things, and that is adding value to distressed assets.
No, absolutely. And I think that's super valuable, being authentic, because there's people out there who go out and brag about what they're doing and brag about the money they're making, but that's not you. I've seen some of the stuff you put out there, and that's not a lot of these people. They're putting out valuable content where you can learn and being humble while doing it, but it's definitely inspiring.
Thank you.
And Graham and I have had this battle. We've talked about the exact same thing that you brought up, with bragging versus, accomplishments and stuff. And I think it's important to show like the humbleness and show that like, hey, like we're learning through this too. And show that like, anybody can do it. If we can do it, that you can do it too. So like the inspirational side is awesome. We've seen that from you as well. How do you think that that's like leveraging like your partnerships and growing like outside of Commercial Academy, even with the social media?
I think rising tide raises all the boats. I do believe in the fact that when you add value to others, you really boomerangs and helps you back.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely seen the increase in people trying to get involved with me and invest. And, people want to join our company as a result. So I think in the long run, by the way, one thing I did not know is how much money and time it's going to be. I mean, you walk around as two guys with cameras walking around. It's just, it looks so easy when you see the video, but with the whole production of it and cutting it and behind the scenes thing is just really, really mind-boggling to me. And at first, when I first started, I was shocked to realize how much work it is. And my producer's like, dude, I don't want you to quit in 3 weeks or 4 weeks with me, all right? Because, it's going to be another 2-3 hours a day of work that you're not used to doing. Here I was thinking I'm going to retire and just set into the sunset, collecting my cash flow and living off my portfolio. And now, boom, I'm back to work, working 10 hours a day. I'll work until 50. I just turned 47 yesterday. It's like, I'll do 3 more years and I'll just sail into the sunset. So we'll see what happens. But what fulfills me, guys, is seeing others achieve their success or highest potential. I have kind of lived the life of a hero's journey, if you know what that is. So, having gone through this experience, every time I see guys and gals who are interested in learning and elevating and achieving their goals, and I help them predominantly in commercial real estate, it really feeds my soul to see them win. And so that's why I think outside of just making money, I think I'll be able to impact a lot of people in a positive way, and that's what excites me.
That's so cool. And that goes back kind of to your point, talking about mentor. You were fortunate to have your first mentor who introduced you to commercial real estate. So like the people we're targeting in our audience is brand new, whether it's residential real estate investors transitioning to commercial real estate or just brand new investors who want to start in commercial real estate. So how would you tell somebody who's starting out, how do you find a good mentor or somebody who you can learn from and to get started?
Oh, so it's very simple. I've looked for mentors all my life and I've always found them. There's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Now, I've called multiple high net worth individuals, people with high end portfolio, and I've gotten turned down. So I don't want to tell you it's easy, but also you always need, as a young entrepreneur who is looking for a mentor, don't call a very successful guy and ask him to mentor you. Don't call him and ask him for something of value. Offer value. For me, I didn't have any money or anything. So I called the guy and I said, hey, can I just buy you a cup of coffee or lunch? And I kind of made a joke out of about it. I said, look, they say there's no free lunch in America. I'd like to change that paradigm. I'd like to buy you lunch. If you don't have a lot of money, take them to Chipotle. $5, $7 right now, right? But the point is, when you call somebody or when you contact somebody on LinkedIn and you offer them an item of value, they reciprocate with this, with the desire to meet with you and whatever. And it's so silly, right? It's just, these guys are millionaires. What the hell do they care about coffee? But this one time, my mentor, Alex, calls me and says, man, you introduced me to this guy. He called me and he wanted to meet with me. And can you believe he got online, picked up his own coffee, didn't buy me coffee. And I was so disgusted and I was so upset that I have to buy my own coffee after he invited me. I was like, I was chuckling inside thinking, what the hell are you talking about? You're a multi-millionaire and this guy is a student. But no, $1.50 or $3 or whatever that coffee cost made a huge difference in the way he perceived that individual. And so be a person of value. And if people feel your energy and they want to collaborate with you, they will reciprocate and they'll give you a discount on the deal. They will give you time. They will give you coaching. And I got extremely lucky Because when I met my mentor, he poured all of his knowledge, experience, connections, and basically got me into a first $1 million. I made $1 million on the first deal I did with him in 2012-13 when I bought a warehouse building in Minneapolis.
That's so cool.
First of all, before I forget, happy birthday. Your birthday was
Thank you.
yesterday. Mine's
Thank
actually
you.
today.
Oh, happy birthday, Jesse. Right. We're Scorpio, right?
Yeah. We're killers out here. So,
How old are you now?
I'm 27 today.
27. Well, guess what, buddy? I'm 20 years on. I have 20 years on you. You have a tremendous future because if you're doing all this at 27 and you do everything right, you will be crushing it. I'll tell you right now.
Well, I appreciate that. And, that's kind of, one of the several reasons we started this podcast, kind of going back into it is like this platform is a great value add for both us and for whoever it is we're talking to. It is able to extend us so that, we can share this podcast with anybody, and then that extends our time, your time. I think that's great. How have you seen like mentoring others? Like, I know like we're talking about other people mentoring you, but how have like you being a mentor, how has that like giving back increased you and like your success?
Well, outside of my fulfillment from like feeling good about it, one of the secrets to my success is when I share my knowledge, my experience, my capital with people who have time, with people who have energy to commit to my deals. I apply the concept of leverage pretty extensively in our business. Many of my junior associates here come in and they co-GP deals with us. For example, they'll find a deal. I'll give them 5% of the deal for finding it. And then I'll say, look, if you do the leasing and if you do project management and whatever, I will promote you to 10 or 15 or 20% of the deal. And so I got many 23, 25, 30-year-old guys running around, running my deals, running our deals. They would find one, 30,000 square foot deal in St. Cloud. Hey, I got one. I need 200,000. All right, great. We go, I buy it. I put up the cash. He gives me I've trained these guys too, though. I mean, they've been around for a long time. I'll say, all right, I'll give you 200,000. We're going to add value. And in 12 to 24 months, I'd like to get my money back and I'd like to co-sign on debt with you. And but in the meantime, you work the leasing, you work the improvements and whatnot. And it works like magic because we sort of work in a collaborative effort, way, but also we essentially do what the other person cannot. Like in my case, I provide the capital. They don't have the capital, but they provide the time and effort. And so I leverage their time and they leverage my capital and my knowledge. Works out perfectly.
That's awesome. Yeah, going back to the mentor thing, I actually asked Nikita to go to lunch. I had heard him on a podcast.
Yeah.
And I had seen his name a couple times. I was at a different firm doing brokerage, and I really wanted to learn about investing. And I was thinking I wanted to get into development. So I asked him, I was like, hey, can we meet for lunch? I'd love to take you to lunch. So I went to his office and met him, and he was like, actually, I'm going to take you to lunch. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And so we sat there for like an hour and I asked him about a bunch of questions and stuff. And at the end of it, he's like, if you want to interview with us, you can. And he was kind of telling me about a similar structure to what you're talking about, how like brokers can join and be part of deals and stuff. And so I'm super thankful I did that, and I've learned a ton. And me and Jesse are actually
doing that. And look where it got you. And so him bring you into the industry, now you think differently. I know so many brokers, and they've been brokers for 20, 30 years, and they've never turned on this investment mindset. They've always chased fees, and they've done really well. But the minute they stop working, money stops coming. I believe in passive cash flow. I believe in freedom, and you accomplish that by creating massive amount of value and not harvesting it immediately and paying taxes in ordinary tax way. And that's how you build long-term cash flow and wealth.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're after. We're doing our first deal with me and Jesse with City Plat, where we're going to get a percentage, and we're going to be running it and everything. We're closing on the 12th.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Super excited. But yeah, switching gears, tell us, I know you said you invest in industrial primarily, and then you got some retail stuff. And I've seen your content about the malls that you guys are doing, which is really cool. But walk us through what your portfolio looks like now.
So I'm a contrarian investor. I've always thought of solving problems, right? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when the industrial properties were not as hot, they emerged as a hot asset class because of e-commerce, because of Amazon, and transitioning of us from retail economy to e-commerce economy. Now, because I trained all these people, I brought Nikita into the industry. I brought all these people into the industry. Industrial margins have started basically going down because every time you go to a showing, there's 5 other guys interested. And I was like, all right, that's fine. So we keep buying these properties, but there's less and less of them. When you go and look at a 500,000 square foot mall, and it's got 4 end caps, and each end cap looks like an industrial building, 90,000 square foot, 18 clear, docks, no drive-ins, but those glass doors could be drive-ins. And how much can you buy it for? $6 a foot, $10 a foot. I was like, wait a minute. Let's do the math. And by the way, we've done for the past 10 years, acquiring a big industrial box and chopping it down to small bay. That's been sort of our thesis. And it costs us about $15 to $20. Now it's $25 per square foot to do the demo, to build infrastructure, to build common hallways, doors, docks, etc. And so I was like, all right, if I buy this thing for $6 a foot, and if we spend $20 to $25 to basically clean it up and put it into small bay industrial, we are $30 a foot basis. Properties across the street being constructed, built brand new at $130 a foot. Now they're at 36 clear and they're mega like projects, but serving small people, small community, small business owners, etc. We should be able to get $4.50, $5 triple net all day long, which renders the value of those properties at an 8 cap or 9 cap even, 60, 70, $80 a foot. And so I said, all right, this particular property we purchased for $3 million. Now, 70 acres of land, all paved, 511,000 square foot structure, 90,000 square foot Sears, 60,000 square foot JC Penney. They're dark. In the front, they have American Freight paying $3 gross, and then there's Dunham Sports on the last quadrant. And the mall is dying. When I talked to my mentor about it, he's like, you know what? If anybody can pull it off, you can pull it off. It's a big project, but this is all you do. And so I called the city. I said, look, I don't think this mall is ever going to work unless you demo the whole thing and build apartments. I think it's going to be languishing, and they haven't gotten paid taxes for 5 years prior to us buying it. So in April of 2023, we closed on a purchase of a mall, which had negative $30,000 cash flow every month. And there is no end in sight as to how you're going to revive it because nobody wants to go there. And everybody believes it's a bad deal. Everybody believes that roof leaks and HVAC doesn't work and electricity's on and off. It's a dying mall. So we go in there and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to convert everything and people are going to come back. And the biggest problem we had as a team is the stigma associated with it being a bad mall. Because prior to us, people have tried to buy it and they couldn't do anything with it. So we got lucky because we converted the Sears and JCPenney's into small bay industrial deals. We filled them up right away. As of today, we're breaking even. We're making about $10,000, maybe $12,000 of positive cash flow. However, we still have 40% of vacancies to go as we are going through the spaces. So the future looks bright. And I think that this will be the most successful property we've ever dealt with because based on my math, we should be generating $100,000 or maybe $130,000 of cash flow per month when it's fully stabilized in the next 12 months. And it's going to cost us we bought it for $3 million. We're going to spend about $6 to $7 million. So it's a $10 million total basis. But for 500,000 square foot, it's $20 a foot weighted average cost. Because we didn't have to do much other stuff. The other space is ready to go. All you got to do is cut in the door and clean it up. So anyhow, we'll see. It's still an ongoing project, but I'm excited. But these malls are becoming a big thing for us. We have 3 of them now, and 2 of them are doing well. The other one we're still sort of working through. We'll be publishing another video next week on the Mansfield, Ohio mall as well. So
awesome. Yeah. So the majority of your portfolio right now is these malls. The other stuff,
we have 3 malls total. Majority of my portfolio, I'd say 60% of our portfolio currently is industrial. About 25% of our portfolio is retail. We still do a lot of regional retail deals, just like Nikita does, and many of my friends at Commercial Academy. And then about 5, maybe 10% of the portfolio is office, 2-story, 3-story office, or single-story offices.
Cool. And what, and you don't have to share exact numbers by any means, but like for somebody listening who's wanting to get started, what can somebody expect in terms of like cash flow, like on a portfolio? On
my portfolio? Well, yeah. I have a global cash flow calculator that we have to share with the banks, with our partners and whatever. I think our portfolio today, and then mind you, we're still working through a lot of stabilization. I think our portfolio generates about $6 million of net cash flow today. And we have investors. I don't own it all. I'm basically a GP in this portfolio. I have a lot of investors, but we generate about $6 million a year in income today from a portfolio. We have debt reduction. And I guess that's basically the number. I think it's 6 and change, 6.25 or whatever per year.
That's so cool. And how long did it take you guys to build up that portfolio? Because it's obviously, massive and extremely impressive.
I bought my first property in 2013. Now, mind you, I had a lot of houses. One thing that I realized, and I was listening to Cody Sanchez, she says, the difference between people who do extremely well and people who do sort of average is that speed of execution. And I realized like the difference between Minnie and myself and Nikita and Saul is like that too. Everything that we do needs to happen yesterday. And it's some kind of it's almost like a crazy thing. People say, well, you guys crazy? Can't happen that fast. No. And we insist and we push and we claw. When I used to do 50 houses a year, flipping houses. And I came into commercial real estate. I'm a rookie. And the guy's like, well, you sure you have money to buy it? I'm like, yeah, I'll figure it out. I do houses already. I have investors and whatever. So I got one. After I bought one and I closed on it, naturally, because I'm constantly looking for houses, 50 houses a year, you got to look at 20 per month. I started looking for the other one, for a second deal, look for a third deal. I look for, and constantly negotiating, constantly looking at other deals. And I think our portfolio has close to 70 properties right now across 8 states. But, and I'm getting tired a little. I'm getting older now, of course. But I was like, you know what, Graham and Jesse, you guys now work. You guys now find properties. I will provide the capital. I'll coach you. I will give you all the playbook on how to do it, the blueprint, and then we'll share the upside. And that's my little secret for growth. And so when people tell me, oh, Rafik, what's enough? Is this enough? I'm like, look, it's not a right question. It's not that I'm like counting money. I mean, I live on 10% of what I make right now. I love the game. I'm really good at what I do, but also I represent the interests of 50 or so junior partners who run around and work for me and they want to make money. So what am I going to hang it and go play golf? I don't even like golf. I would like to help my guys grow. And then, by proxy, I grow too. And so we sort of, are we going to be, if we have a $300 million portfolio right now, and we're growing very fast. As a result of you people, my students, my mentees, my junior partners, I think we're going to keep buying buildings and we're going to keep improving them. We're going to keep infusing them with life and good values, and we'll take care of our tenants. So it's a community service.
That's so cool.
I like it. So, we talk about like all these GPs and team and all that. I know a little bit about how Break Capital is structured, but for those who don't know, can you explain a little bit of how you grew that team and how you handled like all these transactions and stuff? Because I know you can hand things off, but it's kind of trusting and you got a lot of moving parts and stuff like that. So I'd just be kind of curious to see how you kind of handle it all and how you scaled it.
So when I was flipping houses, I had a small team, a management company and the construction team, and I had a couple of partners. When I got into commercial real estate, I met a banker and he says, Rafik, you should set up a brokerage. And when you set up, and the idea of opening a brokerage was sort of foreign to me. I was like, I don't care about brokerage. I mean, brokerage is good. It's good money, but I buy buildings. If you start a brokerage, you can invite a whole bunch of young kids into your ecosystem. You don't have to pay them a salary, but they're going to go and do your bidding. They will all do all the work and lease properties and find deals. And if they bring you a deal, they get paid. If they don't bring you a deal, guess what? You have nothing to lose. I scratched my head. I was like, wow, brilliant. That's a genius idea. So I went ahead and got a broker's license and started Caspian Group. And my first hire was Brian Schulten, who's a multimillionaire now. He lives in Greece for 3 months. He makes so much money and he's got 3 beautiful kids. So he just travels the world. And last year he was in Italy. Now he's in Greece. And I'm so happy for him. So Brian was my first recruit. And then Marshall Nguyen, who now runs a huge conglomerate, also was my second student. Nick Naboka was a third. And the company sort of organically grew. Every time I met somebody and they call me, hey, Rafik, I'd like to meet with you. Can I work for you? I don't have time. But if you meet with me at the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll interview there. And the guy shows up in the gym. All right, this guy's committed. I'll give you a chance. And that's how we grew it. And we have, since I started Braid, I passed on the Caspian Groups reins to Patrick. He runs it now, but I'm out of it. I'm doing my own. With Break Capital, we basically are in multiple states now, and it's a little different business.
That's the Break Capital is primarily focused on the asset, your acquisitions basically for your assets and asset management, correct?
Correct, asset management, exactly.
Yeah, so you've got the brokerage company and the asset management company. That's cool. So if somebody wanted to start, guys like us who want to go out and build a portfolio that supports a lifestyle where you can have the passive income to do cool things like go to Greece and go to Italy, well, what advice would you give somebody who's just starting? Maybe they have a few properties under their belt. If you could go back and start over, what would you do?
I'll break it into 3 separate things. Number 1, you need to be pretty good at financial analysis. You need to know your numbers. And as long as you know your numbers and you understand the value, how to arrive at the value or valuation and cash flow and whatever, if you don't know financial analysis, you have no business helping people to invest in real estate. Now, secondly, you want to get out there and stir up a lot of leads, find a lot of deals. That's what Brian did. He understands the financial analysis. He finds a deal. And he comes to me and said, hey, Rafik, I got this deal. It's a 50,000 square foot property for $2.3 million. I think if we stabilize it and bring bring it up to $400,000 of NOI, it's worth $6 million and, or $5 million or whatever. And he gives me basically an executive summary of the deal. Now I'm doing a lot of deals. So I said, all right, here's the thing, Brian. If you find that deal, if it's on the market, his commission becomes the contribution. If it's off the market, then I'll just give him 5% of the deal for just bringing it up. And then I said, Brian, here's the thing. If you do all the leasing and if you kind of asset manage it and stay on top of the property, I'll promote you and I'll give you 10%. If you do construction management, which is a full-time job sometimes, but sometimes not, I'll give you another 5%. And before you know it, he was a partner in 7 to 10 deals across my portfolio, and he owned anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15% in each deal. Sometimes he went and found people and said, look, I do a 50-50 split with my investors. If you bring me an investor and we can get money from your ecosystem, I'll promote you a little more. Now, the entire time I trained Brian to always think of adding value to the building, to the community, to me. And it's the relationship that paid dividends. And he bought 1, 2, 3 and basically accumulated the cash flow. I mean, one thing about commercial real estate is you can do one deal, just like in Commercial Academy, and it will change your life forever, right? You do one deal and it makes net cash flow of about $10,000 to maybe $20,000 a month, and you can literally jump out of the rat race and have a nice life. Now, Brian probably generates $100,000 of cash flow right now per month, and $100,000 is a lot. And when I met him, Brian didn't have money to buy shoes, and his shoes were like open-toed because he couldn't buy shoes. And I remember we went to the showing. He's showing me this 55,000 square foot building. As I felt bad for the guy, he just got out of Air Force, and as a broker for the first year, he's struggling. He's like, dude, I only made $15,000 last year. I'm living in the basement of my buddy's house. I'm like, let's go to the store. And we went to a outlet mall, and I bought him shoes. And to this day, he kind of chuckles, man, can you believe me? You bought me shoes because I didn't have shoes. I was like, yeah, brother, I'm so proud of you. And so it's these kinds of stories that give me fulfillment.
That's so cool. That's similar to Jesse. He not the shoes part, but he's just getting out of the military and he's a brand new broker. So he's just getting started, and we're trying to do a lot of stuff together. That wasn't supposed to sound mean. What I meant is like he's just getting out of the military. It's a brand new broker.
And then so, I think I spoke about 2 things and I derailed into talking about Brian. Third thing, very, very important thing. Always think of adding value to your investor partner, but also know who you're dealing with. Because if he's greedy or inconsiderate and selfish, obviously not going to go forward. Very quickly disengage, move on, but find people who will appreciate you, share with you, and realize that you bring them value and share the upside. And there's a lot of people like that, I promise you. Now, there's a lot of other kinds of people too, and that's okay. And the more of people like us are there who are value add, who have abundance mindset, I think the world is a better place. Everybody wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesse, go ahead.
I just wanted to go back a little bit to the industrial flex property, like that, choosing that industry, or really that sector. But we were kind of like teeter-tottering of like, where do we chase industrial retail? Because we kind of had a lot of leads on both. And as far as like personal acquisitions, Graham and I kind of decided industrial was better. And the reason being is because it's, you get a beautiful warehouse. You might have to, upgrade like dock doors or something like that. But it's not that, it's pretty cut and dry. I was kind of curious if you thought that was a great and entry level, if you will, investing for young guys like us.
So my answer is you got to do what tickles your fancy. You got to do things that excite you every day, because then you're not working. You are having fun, right? It's like a game we play. So it's not what kind of products you chase. It's where you attain your mastery. You're talking about Jeremiah, right? He's a king of mini storage. He used to do mobile home parks, of course, but he's a king of mini storage, and that's all he does. And he's got a really good, and the more deals you do, the more experience you get, the better you get in comparison to everybody else. And so whether you choose to do retail, whether you choose to do industrial, whether you choose to do housing, pick a lane and become so good at it that everybody wants to go to you to transact with that deal. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't be all over the place. I would stick to industrial, and I'll only do industrial. Of course, I went to Commercial Academy. These guys are doing retail. It's glitz and glamour. I'm like, oh, I want to have retail. So I got into retail. My profit margins on the retail, and I made a lot of mistakes on the retail because I don't know, is probably gotten me a less portfolio. Like if I compare myself to Jeremiah or some other guys that I know that have stuck to one type of product and become industry specialists, they've accelerated to creating funds and whatever. For us, having done multiple things, and I still in the closet buy apartment buildings and help people flip houses and stuff because I'm just wired to just add value and whatever. But had I stuck to one product type and became really, really good at it and have been known for that, I think I would have been further ahead in my portfolio size and organization of the business. Now, you need to choose what you want to do and become really good at it.
I think that's great advice. We've kind of chosen the industrial side, and we've really kind of seen the a little bit of benefit from it just in the short time that we've been doing it, between the two that we're personally acquiring, and then 5 for City Plat. So it's
so these 2-3 deals that you have. I have a question. What is going to be net cash flow if all stars align every month?
For both of them combined, it would be around $6,000.
$6,000. All right, perfect. So here's my other advice to young folks. When I was graduating from college, one of our last classes, I think it was literally the last class, a professor of finance said, "All right, guys, you've taken 4 years of all this schooling. You've learned a lot. And now I'll give you a secret, the eternal secret of being wealthy." And I was like, wait a minute. We went to school for 4 years, and now at the last day telling us this? I personally leaned in and was like, okay, what's the secret to being rich? I want to know. I was like, all right. The secret to being wealthy and having unimaginable wealth is to always spend less than you make. It's like, funny, right? It's easy for you to say. But when you think about it, doesn't matter who you are or where you are, if you consistently spend less than what you make and set aside this difference and reinvest. First, reinvest in yourself. Courses, books, masterminds, like Commercial Academy. Elevate, become a machine for value production, right? And then slowly continue creating value, continue reinvesting, and then it's going to snowball, right? And if you look at Warren Buffett, the richest man in the world, considering that if he donated much of his money, and he's still one of the richest guys, he's literally the best investor ever. He still lives in a $300,000 house in Omaha, Nebraska, and he drives a Buick or whatever. He doesn't drive a G-Wagon or whatever, like a fancy car. But the point is, if you stay consistent, I think the book Millionaire Next Door talks about it too. And if you contain your expenses and grow, it's in the freedom from excessive cash flow that you attain your wealth. And so that's my advice to you guys.
No, that's great advice. That's really good advice. I think something interesting too that I'd be curious to ask you about, and I kind of saw this at Commercial Academy when I was there in February. A lot of the people were talking about how they were, like the amount of leverage they had in their portfolio. So they'd be like, I have a $100 million portfolio and it's levered at, 50%. And, a lot of times when you're learning about all this investing in commercial real estate and buying houses and stuff, everybody's talking about being leveraged to the max almost, going out and getting loans, up to your neck. And so I'm curious what your philosophy is on like balancing leverage of the debt that, that's good, but also having that kind of peace of mind from being lower leveraged. How do you guys approach that in your portfolio?
Well, leverage inherently adds risk to your portfolio because you need to have staying power. And if things go bad and tenants can't pay, and bad things will happen. My philosophy on debts, and I always want to pay my debts off as soon as possible. I don't like debt, but also if you get 2.8% interest rate and inflation's at 5 to 7, that's smart leverage, right? And so we have a lot of debt at 3.5%, 3%, 4%, and I believe that insurance has been significantly higher than that. So you essentially make money on your borrowed money as well. You got to be careful though, and have the ability to unload these assets. I think our portfolio is levered at about 45% weighted average. Every time we buy a property, we put 25% down, but we buy our property significantly below value. And we, do value add. We fix them, we lease them, and whatever. And when we stabilize them, we get debt at anywhere from 60 to 70%. But then we just kind of leave them and forget about them, and they slowly amortize the debt, and then the values go up over time. We have a lot of legacy properties from 10 years ago when I bought my properties. I've never sold a lot of these properties except for recently with Scott Shields' advice to prune the portfolio. I partially have like seller's remorse, but it felt really good to have some liquidity in the bank accounts. So I would say that you got to be careful with leverage. And if you buy 2 properties, I think you should sell one, harvest the profits, and then keep one for a long-term cash flow and appreciation. That's what I do.
Yeah. No, that's really good. That was another thing too I picked up on that was really interesting. I hadn't seen a lot of people talk about, most of the time you say here, if you buy a property, you should never, ever, ever sell it. But then everybody was like, well, I bought this and then I sold it. And then I bought this and I sold it. And, they were talking about if you can get this many years of cash flow selling it, that you should do it. And I thought that was really interesting. So do you just take it case by case, or do you kind of have a principle where like, okay, if I can buy this property, acquire it and get, 10 years of cash flow day one, I'll sell it off?
I think the Mike Lee rule was if you can get 10 years of cash flow in one day, you should sell it. I agree with that assumption or that principle. For us, it's not like we're going to take the money and go buy ourselves, Ferraris and nice cars. So what are we going to do with the cash? We buy another property. And so if you sit on a property and it generates cash flow over a long period of time, and your yield on your equity is if it's less than 6 to 8%, then it makes sense for you to sell it, pay the tax, or 1031 into the next property, because when you buy a value add asset, your IRR is significantly higher. And instead of raising capital on the next deal, you can redeploy your own cash and make much more return as opposed to sitting in the property for 10 years. So
yeah, that makes sense. That's a good point you brought up. For somebody just starting out like us, so for example, the deal we're buying, the smaller deal we bought about a month ago, we used an investor, gave him 50% of the deal. This next one we're closing on in about a month. I sold one of the first properties I ever bought. It was a little single family house. I sold it and doing a 1031. So that will be 100% us. But for somebody just starting, doesn't have anything, what would you recommend? Would you recommend them to go out and raise money? Or would you recommend them go out and find somebody like yourself who will provide maybe the knowledge and the capital and lower their risk in buying a deal for a small amount, just so they can learn the game?
I think the biggest issue we have as investors in the early stage investments is our lack of knowledge, awareness, or mainly blind spots. And I would absolutely encourage everyone to find a mentor, to find somebody who's done it before, team up with them on the first or second deal. You don't have to take 50%. Take a very small slice of the deal, so to compensate for your time, but try to learn as much as possible. In your 20s, early 30s, you don't have to be a millionaire. As a matter of fact, I believe that early success leads to nothing but big, pompous ego. I think humility is built over time. Now, being broke is not fun either, right? But if you keep buying properties, live a modest, life of 5-10 grand a month, enjoy vacations or whatever, but build your nest egg, build your portfolio, build your relationships over a long period of time, you'll be able to achieve, $100 million portfolio or $200 million portfolio. And then, you can raise capital like an institution and figure it out. But in the beginning, for the first two or three deals, work with somebody who can, like Nikita, in a mentor capacity, protect your downside. And they will not advise you wrong. They will not let you make a mistake. That's how I operate. I mean, they bring me tons of deals and I say, no, it doesn't work. It's not a right deal. And I prevent them from making a huge mistake.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, yeah. What are you guys working on now? Like what's in the future for you guys? Are you just going to continue to look out for, more mall deals? Are you going to be looking for industrial deals? Or are you going to be focusing mostly on the content?
So the content is to essentially communicate our brand and tell people what we do. We have 3 malls right now. We're going to stabilize them. If we can transact with these malls in an efficient way, systematic way, I see ourselves becoming basically a mall buyer. We'll buy these malls across the nation. We will convert them into sexy, flexy units, create a lot of entertainment, and reinvest money in these communities and help them out. That's where I see our business going. Otherwise, I'm buying a 44,000 square foot property in Michigan, and those are easy deals. You buy it for $2 million, you put $300,000-$400,000 into it. It's worth $4 million. Life is good. It cash flows very well. I could totally see doing 10 to 15 deals like that per year. We got good banking relationships. We got access to capital. So I keep dabbling with the idea of setting up a real estate investment trust. But then I'm afraid that I'll have to be like a servant to a bunch of investors, because right now I have I own lion's share of our portfolio, and I don't have to answer to nobody necessarily. But might come a time where it might be a thing, right? So I'm still on the fence about whether I'm gonna do a fund or a REIT, but right now I just keep doing the same thing: buying buildings, adding value, improving communities, and working with tenants. And it's a fun business.
That's awesome.
So
I was curious, Rafik, have you ever gone under contract with a property and had to pull out? And could you explain like why you pulled out if that has ever happened to you?
well, it happens sometimes. Usually when the sellers misrepresent the data. If we believe what's presented to us on the OM, an offering memorandum when we are buying the property, and then in due diligence we uncover certain issues, we either pull ourselves out of the contract and move on, or ask the sellers to give us some sort of a discount or contribution towards repairs of that item. But overall, every time you get under contract, you got to hire lawyers, you got to time. So I really don't like to get on the contract knowing, that it's not going to work. We do a lot of pre-due diligence ahead of time and talk to the sellers, talk to the brokers, and really make sure we really want the deal. But every now and then we do lose a contract because of misrepresentation and things.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was any like situation where you'd seen like, maybe you were a little more confident than you thought to lease it, like if it was like saying it was mostly vacant, and yeah, I just didn't know that's definitely a good point though. You don't ever want to buy a deal that's bad, and sometimes it's okay to take a little bit of a loss than a much worse loss in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest issue with you guys, starting out, is not to get involved with a really bad deal and it just sets you back by 2 years. So you have to be very, very careful. You still have a lot of blind spots, whether it's environmental issues or, condition of the property. So, but I think you guys are doing great. I'm very excited to hear that you're buying your own properties. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. We're really excited about the one we're buying now. It's 18,000 square foot warehouse. We're buying it for 800,000, so it's roughly It's like $42 a foot. We have a lease out for signature, fingers crossed, for $595 a foot, and it's
Net or gross?
triple net $595.
Triple net.
Yeah, and it's 5.5% seller financing, 25-year AM. So it'll cash flow.
How many year balloon?
5-year balloon,
10% down.
10% down.
So you have to put $180,000 down.
No, it's only 800,000. So
Sorry.
it'll be
80 grand down.
80,000. Yeah. And so I was able to, we're 1031ing that house that I sold.
See, that's a brilliant deal. That's a really good deal. And once you spruce it up, clean it up, and make it look nice, I think that property at 5.25 is probably worth $80 a foot, right? And you're buying for 50.
Yeah, probably somewhere around there. 595, 84. Yeah, it's like about almost 110,000. Yeah, at ACAP it'd be like 1.3 million. So we're hoping that this guy, he's a good tenant. We hope he signs the lease. He said he was going to.
What kind of tenant is he? What does he do?
He's basically logistics. So he's doing a lot of the pallet shipping and
Distributed pallets, yep.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
How many acres is the parcel?
Ooh, it's less than an acre. I think it's like 0.8.
And how many years is he signing the deal for?
5-year lease. 5. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. So that's one.
If it's a single tenant asset, what I would do is talk to him after a year, or prepare him for a year and sell him the property. I think he would probably pay as much as $1.5 million for it, and compare what his payment at $1.5 million minus 10% for SBA financing, 90%. You can probably get 5.5 interest rate for 30-year fixed, and cash you guys out. And if you buy for $800,000, clean it up, it costs you $900,000, but you can make a $600,000 profit in a year if you play your cards right. And then you can parlay it into a bigger deal.
That would be amazing. Yeah, that would be one of the deals that would definitely be life-changing for us, because we're not there yet. We've got some
Let me tell you how it's going to change your life and the life of the other guy. I've done this so many times. When you have a single tenant guy, if he's got good credit and if he's like a decent guy, I approach him. And it's not a ploy. Like, what I tell him, I mean, but it's just the cardinal truth of what's going on here. I'll say, Johnny, thank you so much for having paid the rent for the last 10 months. And I'm going to continue getting the rents for the next 5 years. And 5 years from now, you'll probably re-extend for another 5 years. And 10 years from now, Johnny, I'll sell the building for $2.5 million or more. and I'll buy myself a very, very nice red Ferrari, topless. And I'll be driving on a highway one day thinking, why did Johnny work so hard for my Ferrari? And I have all these other buildings, and Johnny is doing pallets all his life. Why is it so not fair that Johnny, oblivious to the reality of life, that you should own real estate, not rent, has been paying me rent? Was he unorganized? Was he depressed? Was he asleep? And so 10 years from now, when I drive my Ferrari, I'll be thinking about it. But then I sort of rewinded it to today's day. And I want to ask you, Johnny, why wouldn't you buy this building? And in 10 years, sell it for 2.5 and put $1 million in your bank account, Johnny. And I'll be just quietly listen to his answer. And there's two answers. Number one, my credit is messed up. I cannot buy it. Second answer, I don't have money to buy it right now. I need down payment. If the credit is bad, I'll be, look, I got a credit specialist, whatever. They'll fix your credit. You got to go do that right now. And regardless of this deal, I need you to have good credit because that's how you elevate in America. If you don't have money, you know what, Johnny? It's your lucky day. I will give you a $150,000 loan in exchange for 20% of the equity in your new LLC. I'll be an investor. I'll be an LP for you. And then your $1.35 million loan will be equal to this amount. Now, it might be a little higher than what you pay today, but you got tax benefits, you got appreciation, you got depreciation, you got flexibility. You can do whatever. You can build walls, you can build bathrooms or whatever. And guess what, Johnny? I want to add value to you, and I want you to own your own Ferrari. And so I've done this before, and my guys, they bought these buildings, and 5, 10, they sold, they made millions. They're like, Rafik, thank you so much. You've really, and they realize we made a little bit of money in the meantime. Like it's a fair game, right? It's a profit. Not a Mother Teresa here, but be reasonable, right? Don't gouge them. And that's your $1 million advice today.
No, that's great. That's great advice. Honestly, we were thinking about maybe selling it, but going straight to the tenant and giving them opportunity. That's awesome.
If you list the property, any property, between your time and paying somebody else, you got 5% of expense, right? Plus. Mm-hmm. When there's broker involved and you want to sell, they're going to beat you down and get another 5 to 10% out of you. So before you know it, your price of $1.5 million, you'll probably end up selling for 1.3 or 1.35. So when you are cordial and you develop a meaningful relationship with the broker and you give them $150,000 like equity deal with the 8 pref or whatever, even if he doesn't pay you every month, but it's you locked in the deal, you still will get 150 plus whatever the appreciation is over the long term. Because you have a capital account in there. But in the lender's eyes, because you're less than 20%, you don't have to guarantee the debt. And in the lender's eyes, that's a down payment. You actually literally give him down payment to this guy of $150,000. So anyhow, that's how you can make money on this one. I don't like to own single tenant properties because if he leaves, you have zero and you have to carry it. So I always try to sell them to my tenants. I would like to buy multi-tenant properties. I would like to buy 60,000 square foot property with a lot of smaller bays, and then it cash flows.
Yeah.
For long term.
No, that's definitely something it's something that made me realize that. I mean, we've had it under contract I gave myself a really long due diligence period to sell the house. So we've had it marketed for about 90 days and we have 2 prospects.
If your house doesn't sell, if you need 80,000, call me. I'll be happy to be involved in that deal.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah. So we were trying to find a tenant, and we've got two on the hook right now. So hopefully one of them signs. But just in this process, it made me realize exactly what you said. Like, yeah, single tenants more risky, and we'll get some good cash flow if they sign the lease. But if they ever 6 months from now decide they want to leave, it's a big payment to carry. And so the multi-tenant stuff is definitely what I want to start looking at from now on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rafik. This has been super valuable. The last, 10 minutes have been great advice, particular to our situation. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
If the people want to connect with you and learn more about your company and what you guys are doing, where should they find you?
My website is www.bratecapital.com. You can DM me on Instagram. You can follow me on YouTube. We're growing a huge YouTube channel with all the information. I'll be coaching and giving a lot of people advice from my personal experiences. I paid close to $700,000 for all kinds of masterminds and boot camps and seller financing things. I've learned a lot. And I'll be basically sharing all this information with my followers and on the YouTube channels and stuff like that. So happy to be of service. To me, it's paying it forward. To me, it's elevating guys like you and seeing you successful, because then you hopefully will do the same to the next generation. And that's how the world gets better, is by us constantly paying it forward.
That's so cool.
Totally agree
And
with
what's the name of your YouTube channel?
It's just Rafik Moore.
Rafik Moore. Okay.
Rafik Moore. Yeah, you get value add investments.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Hopefully you got some value from this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Nice
Thanks,
seeing you.
Rafi.